Coming to you live from Studio 6 in Seattle, keeping you up to date on technology while enjoying a little whiskey on the side. With leading edge topics, along with special co-hosts to navigate technology in a segmented, stylized radio program. The information that's going to make you go, Now sit back, raise a glass, and welcome to TechTime Radio with your host, Nathan Mumm. Welcome to TechTime Radio with Nathan Mumm, the show that makes you go, technology news of the week. I'm Nathan Mumm. On today's show, we have 5 top stories today. We have our COVID-19 mask review in our gadgets and gear segment, and then we have 2 truths and a lie. Jonathan Mumm, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me.
As we do our technology show, we like to sip a little bit of whiskey. So we have here the Rhymageddon, a Corsair distilled malt rye and chocolate whiskey that we'll be tasting today. So we're very excited about that.
Sounds good.
We have our second whiskey here, which is the Ballantine's Finest. And then
that's a blended Scotch whiskey.
It is a blended Scotch whiskey. That's correct. Okay. So blended and bottled. That sounds great. And then we are getting really smart on here, and we're having our guests bring in a bottle of their own. So you brought in a bottle?
Yes. So our third bottle is, and I'm not Hawaiian, but Paniolo, a Hawaiian blended whiskey blended on the islands of Hawaii and Maui. Had to ship that back over the airplane with a big plastic. It's like a diaper for it, so it doesn't break when you have it on the airplane.
Oh, wow. Okay, well, I'm going to be excited to have that. So you had that shipped in specifically for TechTime Radio is what you're telling me, right?
Indeed.
Okay, well, we're excited about that. Well, let's start with our first whiskey. And so as a guest, do you want to choose which one of the ones that we're going to give a taste to?
Let's start with the one on the left, the Rhymageddon.
The Rhymageddon. So here you go. Take a glass there.
Thank you.
Take a glass here. Of course, we have our whiskey review from Whiskey Smiths that we have. So we're going to now take a little bit of a taste here. I'll put mine back there.
You could actually have those chocolate notes present in the whiskey that a lot of them will claim to have a taste.
Oh, I did taste a little bit of those
note.
chocolates. Yeah, that's absolutely correct.
So it's nice to kick it off with one that actually is doing what it said.
We'll have to see how Hawaiian does or our other one. So great. Now it's time to welcome Jonathan to the show. Thank you for joining us, Jonathan. Tell us a little bit about yourself.
All right. Well, my main profession is in technology. I'm a network engineer at a large professional services company. And by trade, I like to just be involved with all types of technology. I've been doing that ever since I was a kid. So many years of various technologies.
So you're a little bit of a youngin'. I worked on these things called 8008s and 286s and 386s. What was your first computer that you worked on?
I think my first was a 386 that I put together based on parts that were left over that my brother had laying around.
Okay. So you got the hand-me-downs.
I did.
That's what happens when you have a bigger brother. He always leaves you junk to take care of. Well, let's move on to our top 5 stories today. Thank you for filling in. So Mike is not able to join us. He is in quarantine. So we're in a COVID-19 era. And so he was planning to be on this episode and next episode, but he has to quarantine for 14 days.
And I am quarantine. I'm COVID-free.
You're COVID-free? Well, I'm COVID-free too. So we want to keep it that way. So thank you very much for joining us. And Mike, we hope that you get well soon. So our top 5 stories today. Welcome to the top 5 stories today. Welcome back to our top 5 stories today. Our first story, number 1, the NBC Peacock network is in full launch mode. Peacock will stream over 175 Premier League matches next season. So have you had a chance to take a look at the Peacock device from Xfinity yet?
I have not, but
we have one right over here, so we're going to take a look at it. So let's see. So right now with COVID-19, people are just looking for new streaming devices, new media to watch. I know that we just finished Snowpiercer on TNT. Loved it. We thought it was a great new episode, and now we looked for season 2, and who knows? It could be 2.5 years because they haven't started and finished filming. But Peacock Network has their own streaming service. It's absolutely free from Xfinity. So if you're an Xfinity customer and you have internet and they bottleneck you on your internet speeds, but they'll give you a streaming device so you can use more of their networking, and then you bottle up their own items. But they have a brand new device. They have signed the Premier League 175 matches. If you want to subscribe to that, you have to move up to their premium Peacock tier, which is $4.99 a month or $9.99 for ad-free viewing. So you pay half of it, you get a little bit of an ad here and there. Not, you get the full deal. Or they're offering currently a premium service for 1 year at $30. So I was very impressed with their hardware. We got hardware here that we can show on the YouTube channel. You can take a look at it on that, but it's a very small puck type device. It's got a network. What I like about it is it has a network port, so you can actually plug a network directly into it. I don't like the devices that are all wireless. They always seem to have a little bit of a lag in the streaming process, so it's great that it has that. It's got HDMI out. It does full 7-in-1 surround sound. Not too thrilled about their mic, though. I'll tell you, the mic is a little bit cumbersome. It has their voice recognition software, and that is just horrid. So I've tried to ask for a show, and I asked for friends, and it says you don't have any friends set up, and I asked for this and that, and it did not quite work well. So it's a little bulky on that aspect of the remote, but the actual puck device works itself.
Now, did you hurt its feelings when you were setting it up, or why was it so mean to you?
The setup was actually pretty simple to do. So the setup process, not as easy as some of the Google remote items, or even a
Roku?
A Roku, that's exactly what I was thinking for. Thank you. A Roku device, which is you just plug it in, boom, you're ready to go. You download some apps. So it had a little bit of configuration, but it did find my television, and so the IR worked on my television, and it had some pretty good shows. So I was actually pretty impressed. I've actually used it. It's on my main television, and so we've actually watched a bunch of shows. It's got Parks and Rec on there, and some really good NBC shows that have been there that you can rewatch again. So it's a very interesting device.
That's great.
If you like soccer, since live sports are kind of important, check it out.
Are those Premier League matches happening this year with COVID?
So they are happening this year. So that's this year's stuff. The NBA is starting at the end of this month. So it's going to be very interesting. You're going to be able to watch the Major League Baseball. You'll be able to watch NBA and maybe even the NFL all at the same time, depending on how they do stuff with preseason. And so it's a wacky time in sports. So you're going to be able to go and watch whatever sport you want. I'm not a big soccer fan or football, however you announce it. But if you are a Premier League fan, or if you want a great new device, the Peacock Network is absolutely something to take a look at. Story number 2 is an interesting one. We have a story about a video game that is developed and based in a canceled gaming convention. So E3 and virtually every other gaming expo, PAX is one. They've all gone to online or virtual. You're no longer going to be meeting with anybody. But the developer Devolver Digital has come out with a game that essentially is free to download. You can get it on Steam. And it is a game where you sneak through a convention center, and you go up to booths and you find secrets, in specifically their Shadow Warrior 3 and their Charon game that they have coming on out. You can learn information about it. So it's a game of advertising within a game itself that's free on Steam. What do you think about that?
I actually tried it out.
Okay, and how was it?
So I've attended video game conferences, more specifically the PAX West in Seattle, and it very much felt like a video game, and they call it an interactive marketing game, essentially because it's just a sales pitch for the games. But it felt like I was playing a game in a convention setting, but it didn't quite have the feeling that I was at a convention.
Okay.
You didn't have...
Were there security guards and people moving around, or...
There was no people in the game, but you did have a spoiler t-shirt launcher that you could shoot at the robot guards that were in the closed convention center. So you were able to go around and see booths and sort of have a trade show feel, but there's so much that happens at a convention that you can't just capture, even in a video game or a VR experience of talking and interacting with people. So it was a unique experience, and the company in the past has always kind of made fun of E3 with videos that they've released around the time of E3. So it was very in line with Devolver's past traditions to do this, but it didn't quite capture the feeling that a video game convention
was.
has.
Was it worth the download time to play it, or was it kind of one that you're gonna delete now and you had your fun for a couple minutes?
Well, my download was shorter than any of the lines that were at PAX West, so I'd say that for that amount of wait, it was worth it.
Yeah, PAX West is crazy. Yeah. All right, our story number 3 is how to trick your brain to remember almost anything. So there's a 4-time USA memory champion. Did you ever hear about a USA memory champion?
How do they determine who's the champion?
They actually have like an event where you're sitting at a bunch of desks and they show you stuff up on screens and then you go back and you have to memorize it, which is very interesting because this individual, Nelson Dellis, and it's NELSONDELLIS.com. You can find out about this individual. He actually has a movie on Netflix called Memory Games. So I have not watched it. I have it now in my queue, so I'm going to go take a look at it. So he's kind of like the superstar of memory. He gave his 5 solutions of how to memorize stuff. So here I'm going to help everybody have long-term memory and never forget anything ever. If you listen to these, step number 1 is you start with a very simple memorization task. So let's talk about like the 7 wonders of the world. And what you do first off is you memorize each of them in a easy to remember image. So everything that he wants to memorize, he creates an image of that.
And you have the 7 wonders for us.
So you got like a wall. So he'll memorize a wall for the Great Wall, or he'll think of his own pet for like Petra. So as a great wonder. So he memorizes that. Then he puts each of these images in a location. So he uses his house, which in his mind, his house must be unbelievable. He says the weirder the better. So like things in the kitchen, if he needs to remember something, he may have like a llama cooking a meal. Then
everything with associations then.
So everything is associations, but he does says that you have to pay attention. So when you're studying and you put these things into memory, you have to really be focusing on putting an image into a house. So you can't be doing anything else. You have to be focusing image house. And then after that, he has, he breaks up things into segments. So let's say he can memorize 1,000 or 10,000 digits of pi. So he's memorized 10,000 digits of pi. And what he does is he'll put them in order. So instead of remembering 1 digit, he'll remember them in groups of 5. So he'll group stuff, he'll create image stuff, and then the last thing he does is he goes through with all of his images and he sorts them out into a place in his memory that he can then recall it to when he needs to have that information. So he must have so many different houses that he has available in his little brain that he moves stuff into, and then he has different objects. So if you want to have memory forever on our top 5 stories, create an image, put it in a house, and then segment that. So
right now I've got the NBC Peacock on my TV in my living room.
Okay.
I've got the gaming convention on the Xbox to the right of the TV.
Okay.
And we've got the memory.
I'm watching it on Netflix. So that's
Netflix
on my
TV
TV because he has a Netflix episode. So
all right, so let's see what number 4 brings us.
So number 4, very interesting also, is Australia is starting to pay its owners for transferring electricity back to the national grid. So this is very interesting. Australia has a huge problem with fossil fuels, right? So they're their own, it's very expensive for them to bring in fuel. So a lot of their cars are electric. Will actually pay people to plug their electrical vehicles into the national grid. So very interesting. They've set up national stops on their roads that you can go on into, and when you plug in, you can charge your vehicle, and at the same time, it will take battery juice out of that when it's sitting at night to help power the country. And then our last story, number 5, we got our Lego is coming on out with a NES and television model. So Lego's done a really good job of marketing. They did Lord of the Rings stuff. They've done superhero stuff. And now they are partnering with an entertainment company, Nintendo.
It's almost hard to find a Lego set that isn't branded these days.
models. I know I just bought a set for my son. He was a big Friends fan, and so I got him a Friends set, and it was all the
cafe,
characters.
right?
Yeah, it's the cafe, and he put it all together. It was like 1,500 parts. And so, what do you think? I know you're kind of you probably didn't grow up with the NES, though, did you? You probably had the Super Nintendo or such.
Yeah, the first console that I got was the NES or the Super Nintendo era.
The Super Nintendo era.
Yeah.
So what do you think about this? They're coming out with supposedly a figure that even moves on the screen. So Mario is even going to jump or move or back and forth. Did you have a chance to take a look at the pictures of this?
I did get a look at it, and for over $200, it's a pretty expensive.
How much is it?
It's over $200 for this set.
$200.
Because
Does it play video games too at the same time?
it does not play video games, and so for that price, I would almost expect it to play video games.
That's pretty expensive.
But Mario will move up and down. There's a lever that you can have to make him move up and down, and it makes sound effects.
Oh, wow. So you're going to hear that little 8-bit beep, beep. Is that what you're going to hear, that little the great sounds of Mario Brothers, Super Mario Brothers?
Yeah, probably.
That was just such a riveting soundtrack. Let me just tell you, that was very old, but
There's a lot of parts to it, so I think that contributes to the expensive price.
I think
of
it
the
had
set.
a retro TV in the back too. Was that it kind of had it like plugged into a retro TV?
Yes, you're building a TV and an NES.
And a cartridge that you can fit in, and it will actually close the lid on the cartridge.
I think so, yeah.
Yeah, that's amazing. So that takes us to the end of our top 5 stories today. So why don't you grab a glass, sit back, and we'll see you after the commercial break. Thank you.
I've been at NBC a long time. I've seen so many groundbreaking comedies here. And you know what they all have in common? The Peacock. I'm talking about our boss.
Yeah, we're always lucky when the boss stops by the writer's room.
Probably use a better joke on page 3.
You lunatic! He's a pretty good joke writer.
I mean, the Peacock knows funny.
Great.
And is involved in every step of our work. Directing, shaping stories.
Peacock is more than just our leader. He is our mentor. He's our confidant. He's our disciplinarian.
Who's a pretty bird? Pretty bird, pretty bird, pretty bird. Sometimes we forget that he's the boss, so.
You can see his touch, the sort of pastiche of color that he brings to everything that we do at NBC. And we owe it all to this guy right here. Thank you. Thank you. I love you too.
Does it matter that the Ford Motor Company assembles more vehicles in America than anyone? Does it matter that we always stand ready to put over a century of American ingenuity and manufacturing capability to work, even when it means building respirators, ventilators, or face shields? Yes, it matters, especially for those for whom we build and for what we've been building for, getting you, all of us, back to moving forward.
Welcome back to the show. We are excited to have an expert regarding gadgets and gear, from modding a Sega Dreamcast to HDMI cables for an original Xbox. Our co-host, Jonathan Mumm, will have tons to say with our next segment on gadgets and gear. But before we get into that segment, we need to do our second whiskey tasting. So which whiskey would you suggest?
Let's go with the one in the middle.
All right, that is the Ballantine's Finest.
I had some notes of banana coming out at the end there.
Do you have a little bit of banana taste on that? I like it that it doesn't have an aftertaste. So I'm a very simple guy. If I can have a lot of it without the aftertaste, then that's a better whiskey for me. So we're going to move into gadgets and gear. What's new in gadgets and gear? So that's our new segment here that we got regarding the COVID-19 masks. These are all hybrid masks. So we got some plastic, we got some creative masks. So we have 4 that we're actually going to be taking a look at. So the first one we're looking at is the Emergent mask. And for everybody that's watching it, you'll now get to see. It is a flexible injection molded face mask that replaces your traditional mask. The guy that did this down in Dayton Beach, Florida. It is on Kickstarter right now. It has 30 days to go. And I am not impressed with this mask at all. This looks like a 3D printed mask.
Well, with any type of technology, it's always trying to solve a problem. And I have several problems with masks that are out there right now.
Okay.
The first would be the fit and how well it stays on. If you're going to wear a mask, then it needs to stay on. Oftentimes you have the mask that's slipping. But this mask seems to solve that particular problem.
It's got a whole headband that goes around your whole skull.
It has two straps that go around.
Yeah.
So in that sense, it's not going to fall off. So I can appreciate that element of it. But on the other parts that I'm looking for in a good mask, for it to look good, this one's lower on the scale.
Yeah, I probably wouldn't fund this myself. He did a great job of 3D printing out a lot of the plastics, but I think there needs to be some work. So our second mask we're going to is the Breeze. It's a cooling face mask. So this is very interesting. The Breeze is the only mask, they say, that has both gold and silver filters, because silver interacts with germs really well. This is done by a cameraman. So his background is that his intro line is that he always wears a mask. I've never known cameramans to wear masks until the last 3 months or so, but he seems, in his claims, that he always wears a mask when he's doing cameras. So either he sneezes a lot or he has to do that as a cameraman.
He's doing a lot of dirty camera work.
Yes, so I didn't quite get that. But it is fully funded. It still has 54 days to go. So there's a lot of money that's been behind it. There's 631 backers.
And based on money, if it has gold and silver in this, how much is this?
So this unit itself is $30+. So for a mask, it's $30+ to get on.
Yeah, this mask certainly looks more comfortable. It's a bit industrial, though. Around the nose, it looks rugged. It looks like this cameraman could wear this mask for weeks at a time without needing another mask. So if it does what it claims, this one looks pretty good.
And all these claims are very interesting, right? Because all of a sudden, in the last 4 months, we've all become experts on masks. And
as a technology person that has ordered objects off of Kickstarter before, though,
love that.
The number one thing about Kickstarter is you don't know when you're going to get your item and how long it's going to take them to make the masks.
Yeah, I bought a belt off there for somebody for a holiday gift. It came 2.5 years later. So yeah.
So maybe these masks are going to come out by the time that COVID's done.
We have a cure. Well, the next mask we have is the eBreathe mask, and so this has a N99 filter. So N95 was like the industry like high end, but this has an N99 filter, and it has a proprietary R flow. They have their own flow mechanism, so it's a multi-speed device that is washable. It also has a silver filter, so the silver filter has to be something that is being mass produced all over everywhere because everybody's getting the silver filter. It is fully funded also. It has 478 backers, but this is my favorite of the masks. It actually has a little device that will blow into the mask itself on a filter. So if you're out on a hot day, and I've had a mask on a couple times and I've been sweating, it will actually blow air at you. Now it may be infected and maybe the filter doesn't get it right, but it will blow.
It says
air.
It's a silver filter.
It says that it's a silver filter, and then it will take care of it. So hopefully it does, but it actually then blows on you. It's multi-straps around the back of your head also, so all these are kind of fully industrial. You rewash it again, but the eBreathe, those of interest to me. I almost clicked on the backing on that one. That one's also in the $30 price range.
Well, the normal N99 mask without any type of airflow is hard to breathe in because it's denser, it's more tight than a N95 mask, hence the higher rating. So even with an N95 mask by itself, if you're trying to breathe in one of those, because that's been my mask, that just a normal N95, one that I would wear around the garage while doing housework, is the one that I've been wearing. And after a while, it gets hard to breathe in. So without a type of airflow filter that this mask has, where it's blowing air through its filter in, that sounds like it would really be a breath of fresh air.
Literally. A breath of fresh air. That's correct. And our last but not least, and this guy, this guy has 26 days and 3 backers. So 26 days left to back this individual.
Now, before you describe this one,
yeah,
there's another serious problem with masks.
What's that?
If you're in a setting, if say you went to a restaurant that just reopened,
yeah,
and you can go in,
yeah,
how do you eat your food? How do you drink the drinks that you have at the restaurant?
Have you seen the COVID numbers going up? That's because people don't wear them and they go on out and then they get infected.
Precisely. So how can you wear a mask and still have a beverage? And I think that this guy's trying to solve that problem.
Well, that is correct, because what he has developed is the world's first mask that I know of that has a hose in the middle of the mask. If you notice the mask itself, it is only a 3M mask. So it's one that you would buy off the shelf. But
I think it's just his prototype, though.
This is just his prototype? Maybe his final product, too. He has a nozzle in the front that drips down and makes him kind of look like an elephant. And then it allows you, with that hose, as you can see, to drink through the straw material into the mask yourself. So you could have a beverage like you were just complaining about at a restaurant. I don't know how you eat yet, but as long as you order soup, you'll be just fine. But you can actually take this through the mask itself, and on a bonus added, not to be left, if you take the actual tube out, he had a little plug that you could put into the nozzle itself to protect himself.
Yeah, and then when you lose the plug, then...
Well, then you're just going to
get sick.
then you're just going to die, I guess. He only has $31 that has been pledged. He needs $50,000 to go. Otherwise, all the money, I think, will be refunded because he won't go on it. But there's 26 days left. And his is called the ATEM mask.
I still appreciate his attempt at trying to solve that problem.
Well, he could have whiskey, right? He could drink whiskey.
He could.
Yes.
He could listen to our show and have his whiskey while wearing his mask.
While wearing his mask. So that takes us through our segment here with our gadgets and gears. All right. Well, that ends that segment. We have a commercial break. And when we come back, Jonathan, the most important aspect of our show, where I am going to ask you 2 truths and a lie. We got a commercial break. We'll be right back. Thank you for joining us on TechTime Radio. I'm your host, Nathan Mumm.
Your business deserves the same expertise as that of a Fortune 500 company. If you need a CIO-level service, why hire a full-time staff member at $250,000 a year when you can get this on-demand service for fractions of the cost? As your CIO on demand, we'll give you the steps you need to take so as to minimize interruption to your business and profitability, and provide you and your business with training and education to prevent future attacks. To get an efficiency review for your business today, contact us at www.ee-services.com.
We are running our COVID-19 technology response on Teams.
Teams has given us the possibility to continue to innovate.
I can bring them in. I can actually share my screen and show the x-rays.
We're living on Teams. It's as simple as that.
All right. Welcome back to TechTime Radio. I'm your host, Nathan Mumm. We got our co-host, Jonathan, in the studio. We're really excited about segment number 3 for our whiskey tastings of today. We have brought to us the Hawaiian whiskey. Tell me a little bit about that besides the diaper bag that brought it on over.
It's called Paniolo from the island of Maui. The bottle was even signed by the distiller.
Oh, wow. Signed it. Signature. Is that worth anything?
No. It's
just a nice thank you from buying it from us.
Yes.
So we sold you a $6 bottle and it cost you $49 to ship it. So we're going to get it. All right. Well, let's take a taste here.
It is a blended whiskey.
Oh,
80
proof. It smells really good. It's 80 proof?
Yes. The alcohol goes away, but that spice is still lingering.
It's kind of a little tingy, but it's not bitter. Okay, Jonathan, 2 truths and a lie. I'm going to read you 3 topics. You're going to have to tell me which one of these is true. And well,
you said there was 2 truths.
You're going to tell me which one is two truths, and you tell me which one's a lie.
Okay.
We're going to read you all of the headings, and then we're going to kind of you'll pick one, and I'll say, well, this one isn't, so we'll kind of eliminate, and I'll read you a little bit about the story of it.
Okay.
Okay. And now we have two truths and a lie. Number 1, Star Wars: The Bad Batch is a Return of the Jedi spin-off coming to Disney Plus. That's one. Number 2 is Google accidentally posted unreleased pictures of the Pixel 4a reader. And number 3, Microsoft Flight Simulator takes off August 18th in 3 editions for the PC.
3 different editions. Now, I know that it is coming out, the Flight Simulator, in the fall.
And Microsoft Flight Simulator was a great, back in the day, it was phenomenal. And this new one looks really good. I've seen some of the screenshots and the footage of it, so it looks really good.
Microsoft often gets a lot of flack for video games not being outside of maybe the Age of Empires.
Oh, I love the Age of Empires series. So that's my favorite. So be careful there. But besides that, I like Halo. Halo was a pretty good product from Microsoft too.
Right, but Microsoft itself wasn't the studio that made Halo.
Oh, that's right.
They had to buy Bungie.
They had to buy Bungie. Okay, yeah, you're right.
So for an in-house studio, the games are often decent, but Flight Simulator has that following. And so there's been so much internet talk about that I know that is coming out, and I'm sure that there are 3 different versions of that.
Okay, so you think that's a truth?
I think that's one of the truths.
Okay, so let's read the story on that one. So you think that's a truth. Microsoft Flight Simulator right here. A $60 standard edition.
Okay.
That's one. It has a $90 deluxe edition. So that's 2.
What's in that version?
The difference of the deluxe version is that you'll get exclusive airplanes from your selection.
Okay.
So I guess in the deluxe edition, you get more airplanes probably to fly, is what I would guess that would be the difference.
Makes sense.
The first one, you get a crop duster and 2 other planes and flying around with those. And there is a whopping 120 Premier Edition. And that will come with a Game Pass and will receive additional content as Microsoft continuously releases items. So you are correct on saying that one is a truth. So
sounds like it's following a standard season pass with that.
So
Premier
it's
Edition.
like a season pass. You get all the updates that become available afterwards. You kind of pay the premium. I know that they're coming out with some new hardware again for the Flight Simulator, so people will probably be into that again with the yoke sticks and controllers. So now you got the Star Wars, or you got Google accidentally posting unreleased Pixel 4a renderings.
So I'm a fan of both Android phones and Star Wars.
Okay.
And so I've seen some articles about the Star Wars series coming out.
About Bad Batch?
About Bad Batch. I know that that's the title, and I know that it is going to be coming to Disney Plus.
Okay.
So I'm going to also say that one is the truth.
Is the truth. Okay, so you're taking Star Wars: The Bad Batch as a Return of the Jedi spinoff coming to Disney Plus.
Oh, now see, I don't know if it's a spin-off of Return to the Jedi. So that's where you might be able to trick me here.
Okay.
Because I know that it's coming out.
It's coming out.
But I don't know what era it's going to be.
You don't know what era it's going to be?
No.
So which one are you picking then?
Oh, I'm still going with that would
You're
be
still
a
going
truth.
with that? Okay.
Yep.
So let's take a look. Star Wars: The Bad Batch is a new Clone Wars spinoff, not Return of the Jedi.
You got me.
Coming to Disney Plus. It's about freaking time. Okay, I've been trying to trick everybody and I couldn't get it, so I just changed the Bad Batch. So it is correct. So Disney Plus is getting a new animated Star Wars series called Star Wars: The Bad Batch, which is set to debut on the streaming service in 2021. That's the only thing that people could do right now is animated stuff, right? Because all the live action actors are all COVID-19 kept inside and no longer filming. So they're going to come on out. It's going to be a spinoff that will conclude the Clone Wars animated series. And it will run on Disney Plus. So I did get you. I'm
did.
So excited. We can maybe continue this deal. And the last
so many of the animated Star Wars though have been about the Clone Wars that they just seem to be tapping from the same well rather than.
I think that's where they kind of have the freedom, probably with not having to report to Miss Kennedy with what she wants done on the Star Wars stuff. So I think that's kind of the open era, which makes them more creative and coming on up with the wills and a bunch of other type of stuff that they've added into the animated series.
And they've been able to keep that going because if you mess with the original trilogy, you have all of the original fans that would be in an uproar.
I don't know if you'd have too many people in the latest 3 movies to have any complaints with it, but yes, you would have a problem with that. But Google did accidentally post unreleased Pixel 4a renderings. One of the worst kept secrets is that Google is coming out with the Pixel 4a Android smartphone. Kind of a tricky thing here too, because Google probably didn't accidentally release those videos. The videos were already cropped, looking perfect, had all the touch-ups done on these photos that they decided to post out there. But they are saying that it was an error and that a Canadian Google store got to the pictures too early and posted them online for everybody to take a look at. I have had a Pixel 2 Google phone. I liked my Pixel 2.
And the Pixel 3a was very popular.
It was.
So the lower price made it, and the feature set made it a very popular handset with a lot of people that they were kind of surprised when Google didn't release a 4a sooner. So I think that
I kind of like the Samsung though. If I had my choice on the Android, the Samsung just works really well in my opinion. That is my Android phone that I like to go to, and I don't think I would buy another Pixel phone, to be honest, if I can still get a Samsung phone. And you can take a look in my private collection. I have a Samsung phone itself. But thank you very much for playing, though. So that was fantastic for our segment, Two Truths and a Lie. We're going to take a short commercial break, and then we're going to come back with our pick of the day. Thank you.
Right now, kids are learning in their kitchens
and dining rooms
and bedrooms.
Families are redefining the word school.
It's pretty inspiring.
It's why at Xfinity, we're committed to helping kids keep learning.
It's why we're working 24/7 to keep our network fast, reliable, and secure.
We're providing affordable internet access to low-income families
through our Internet Essentials program.
And this is pretty cool.
Just say education until your X1 voice remote
to get free K-12 educational content.
It's that easy.
And you can learn more at xfinity.com/prepare.
Welcome back to TechTime Radio. I'm your host, Nathan Mumm. Jonathan, we've gotten through 3 segments today, and now it comes to our pick of the day. And now our pick of the day for our whiskey tastings. Let's see what bubbled to the top. Okay, looking back at your whiskey review, Jonathan, what is going to be your pick of the day for your whiskeys? What of these 3 brands here did you find to be the best for your whiskey tasting?
The first whiskey that we had, the Rhymageddon, pleasantly surprised me, and the following 2 weren't able to keep up with it. So I'm actually going to pick the Rhymageddon. When it says it was a chocolatey rye, it delivered on that promise. And the other 2 were decent, but not a lot of whiskeys that I've had actually try to incorporate chocolate as a flavor. And it definitely, the Rhymageddon had that chocolate flavor to it in a way that wasn't distracting from it still being a rye whiskey, but it blended nicely together. So that's an unusual whiskey that I haven't had a lot of. So that's my pick of the day.
Okay, so right here, the Corsair Rhymageddon is the pick of the day for Jonathan. That's great. So I kind of, I think I'm going to be different. I didn't find the Hawaiian. The Hawaiian one was okay. I'm not a big chocolate fan myself, so there's different times that I go, but I really kind of liked the blended Scotch whiskey that we had here, the Ballantine's Finest, and so I'm going to go with this as my pick of the day. I liked it because it had a smooth taste. Didn't have a very big aftertaste on it, so it was something that I enjoyed. The Aloha had a unique taste, so it wasn't a bad whiskey. I think I would have that whiskey. And probably the least of my favorite, I didn't really like the chocolate flavor, but that was something that you did. So the Rhymageddon would have been my 3rd favorite. Well, that's why each person has their own favorite whiskey. Because
That's right.
Each person is different. And so we have 2 winners today. That's even better, right? Well, that pretty much ends our show. With Mike not being here next week, I would love to have you come on back if you'd be interested in being a part of the show next week. We have some great topics. We got a special guest that we're going to be interviewing regarding CRISPR and the gene drug that we talked about in episode 4. So we got some great things coming on up to that. Would you be interested in coming back for that episode?
Absolutely. Thanks for inviting me back.
All right. Well, thank you very much. And from all of us here at TechTime Radio, have a great day. And remember, nothing's better than sipping a little whiskey on the side. Thank you. Thank you for joining us for TechTime Radio today. I'm your host, Nathan Mumm. Hopefully you enjoyed talking technology and, of course, having a little whiskey on the side. Remember, as we leave, Mumm's the word. Thank you for listening. If you like the show and want to learn more, please check us out at techtimeradio.com or on YouTube or your favorite podcast service. Just look for TechTime Radio with Nathan Mumm.